I would like to call to order the meeting of the West Bend Community Memorial Library Board for Tuesday, December 17th. I'm asking for an approval of the agenda.
Question,
Yes?
could we change the agenda to have 8C replace 8B and have 8B replace 8C? Just flip them around? Discuss.
Okay, I don't have a problem. You'd like to discuss the lease agreement prior to the approval of the funding.
Right.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. I will ask for an approval of the agenda with the change to make 8B 8C and 8C 8B. Okay. Second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Approval of the consent agenda. I would like to ask for an approval of the consent agenda to approve the library board minutes from November 19th
So move.
and also the expenditures. Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving on. Financial reports. Mr. Joseph.
All right, so on page 1, if you see the county capital is now there, technically I had to make that change, Carrie didn't put that in there. She said in order for her to officially put that into a separate fund, we need to approve it in a meeting.
Which, no,
What?
I missed what the,
So on the first page, in Library Fund 21, I added a county capital fund
Okay.
line. But for Carrie to get it in there on her side, we need to approve it officially as the board to move those funds into a separate account.
Because does she currently have those in Fund 21?
Currently, it's in the operating expense fund, which it shouldn't be.
No, it shouldn't, you're right.
Yeah.
Do we have a category, we would be able to move it ourselves, correctly? Or is there something where if we
She-
approve this, will she move it to a different fund?
Yes. Yeah, well, it won't be a separate fund, but it'll be a separate line, so it'll be reserved under the fund.
Okay. Okay. Chris, why would we have to do that when it came in with a specific, well, might be the way the city goes. Okay,
Yeah, that would be my guess.
all right.
why couldn't we just show it on our own internal report and leave it the way it is?
I don't have a problem with that, but I myself would like to see that line listed as restricted, because that can only be spent if it's matched by city funds. So it's not money that we have in our fund that we
True.
would be looking at as something
point.
that's in our total
Yeah.
dollars.
Okay,
So
good.
I think we should move it, we as a board should recommend
I
moving it.
make a motion that we set it up as you had described.
So like it is on the sheet here?
Right.
Or, okay.
Like it is, but then just put that little asterisk there. Put a little asterisk and,
Asterisk after it?
and put down that it's a restricted fund.
Okay, so how you want to word this motion a little bit clearer, so.
I think we have a motion to create a line on the fund balance listing the county capital as a separate entity, and that entity is a restricted fund balance. And then Joseph can, on the bottom of the sheet, can put the reason why it's restricted. And that's because it has to be matched by city capital dollars for expenditure.
Okay, motion to create a line on fund balance 21
Yep.
as a county capital restricted fund.
Very good, yes.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
So Joe, just out of curiosity, does the city see all these other ones as these specific line items?
Yeah, all the other ones in there are broken out by Carrie. The 53,000, I have to add a line in there and break it in.
Oh, thanks.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions? Chris, you okay?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we have a motion and a second to create a separate line for the county capital. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, thanks for bringing that to our attention.
Yep, and then on the second page, the bottom section is new. I didn't go through and actually double check if those funds had been moved yet. I know for sure the stuff for the building, the design work, I believe, was the one that had not been moved. And they were
Correct.
withdrawing that directly from the building fund.
Correct.
But all of the other ones, to my knowledge, have already been moved out of those funds.
So these have already been removed from the balance that we have here?
Yes.
Okay.
The only one that's still in there is the 8,250, which part of that this month was taken out. Pay a
Correct.
partial invoice.
So do you want to maintain this then once the money moved?
Yeah, I will. Yeah,
Okay.
going forward, I will. This was just to get it in here so you guys can look at it and let me know if it looks
Very
good or if
good.
you
You
want
did
any
a-
changes to it.
Did a nice job on that.
Okay.
Any questions for Joseph?
I got a question though. The one thing we aren't showing in this here is the 100,000 that the board
Approved.
approved or set aside. Didn't approve for the payment, but set it aside. We don't show that here.
Yes, because at the time it was more so, we weren't really saying which funds we were taking it out of. We were just saying we were willing to commit 100,000.
Yeah.
But the question that I had last time was that we should show that 100,000 and take it away because right now this doesn't show that 100,000.
Right, and so this past month, Amy and I got together and met up and decided where, we're proposing 2 areas where we can pull those funds from.
And that's in the board packet, that's a
Yes.
document in the board.
And then if we approve that, we can go ahead and pull that.
Okay. And then are you going to discuss this interest? When do you want to discuss this interest?
I can, yeah, so this interest sheet was just a breakdown. I had talked to Carrie because we had discussed wanting to actually be able to see where the interest was coming from. So the accountant is going to each month update this report and then give it to Carrie to give to us.
Well, then, the 10,000 you show in the budget, where does that come from?
It
You
comes
have-
from this,
Which one? Because,
Fund 21.
so we're getting,
We have an additional $5,000 so far.
well,
in
we've
interest.
got about $23,000 of interest that we're not showing anywhere other than this report for the first time. So are we going to show that interest on our financial report? Or is that included in those numbers?
It's included in those numbers
And it would show up in the budget to actuals that you would give us.
that I send every month.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, very good.
Any further questions for Joseph?
Good
Yeah.
job.
If not, we will move on to public comment. No public comment. All right. We'll move on to the library director's report number 6. Amy?
The Washington County Library Services Survey is out until February 22nd of next year. If you haven't taken the survey, I encourage you to do so. It is out on the table out in front. It's also available online, and it's been posted kind of all over the place. So,
It's pretty easy, it's only 5 questions.
it's 5 questions, it takes less than 2 minutes to do. So, we're hoping to get a really good response. So far, we have gotten a good response.
Good.
Building maintenance, as you know, we did do the sprinkler system repair in the attic space on the east side. So I asked for a quote to start planning for the other 3 runs for that, and I did receive a quote from our sprinkler system company, and that total came to $78,496. So I will be talking to city administration about a CIP project, and hopefully we can get that done in the next 2 years.
Get it done when?
within the next 2 years,
Okay, so you're gonna budget for that?
in the CIP. In the capital improvements
In the
budget
capital. Right.
within the city.
Okay.
I
Chris?
was to ask, was there multiple bids looked at, or do you just have the one that,
We have the one with the company we have a contract with.
oh, okay.
And they're the ones
And
who
they're the
did-
ones who did the first repair that they had to army crawl through the attic space. So it took a little bit longer.
And this is just preparatory, we don't have an emergency.
Correct,
Okay,
correct.
all right.
We also had a main feeder line leak that was on the first floor over on the west side. We were able to get that repaired within 3 hours of opening. So the guys were able to quickly drain the system and make that repair and fill the system up again. So we didn't have to close or do anything like that because we had no heat.
That was city maintenance.
And that was city maintenance, so I want to thank them generously for that work that they did. The network switches were replaced this past week on the 10th. We only had a few minor issues which were resolved very quickly. And we also had a new router and access points installed yesterday. So we're up on new technology here at the library. We do support 5G now in our wireless network, so that's great. And then for statistics,
Well, I've got a question on the meetings.
sure,
Okay. You had your library director's evaluation. Was there a second member of the board in that, or is it just the two of you?
just us two.
We approved the document.
Or wasn't that, hasn't the policy been that we're supposed to have another board member? We did that with Sue.
I've never had that.
Yes, you did it with me.
Chris never did it when he was president either, so. But I think you and I did that, that was her exit interview.
I know it was a personnel interview.
Yeah.
We should probably have a system set up for like that interview, that you have another board member.
That's fine.
in West Virginia.
That's fine, yeah.
Okay, good.
That way when she starts to cry, I won't feel so bad.
Would that be
Board member?
I was gonna say, would that be a policy that we maybe need to set in place of a specific person? Like, for example, the finance person,
Or
or
the
the
vice-
president, or whoever it is.
Or the president and the vice president. or-
Yeah, does there need to be a policy
Is,
in place?
does the city do that? We don't, I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
You know, I suppose we could set up a policy or procedure. How
I'm
about
just saying
if
if we don't, then it's really up to the
Right.
president.
president
to
and
do it.
whoever? So why don't we put that on the agenda for a future discussion and we can vote on it and that way we'll get it set.
Good.
And anyways, I think we had talked last time, we may do a little bit more from an evaluation on a quarterly basis, the board, so we don't, at the end of the year, get all of this having to be done all at one time. Or at least a semi-annual review that we will do. And we can put that in the procedure too. Any other questions on Amy's before we go on to the statistics?
Okay. You'll note our circulation is still up almost 2%. Even though our attendance is down, it looks like the people that are using the library are using it very consistently and are taking advantage of the resources that are here while they're here. So, electronic circs still continue to skyrocket. You'll notice Overdrive is up 23, almost 24%, and our e-magazines and for Zinio or RB Digital is up over 100%. So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
The computer logins are still down. And we think it's because more people are using our wireless. So.
They're bringing in
they're
their own
bringing in their
equipment
own
as
device.
opposed to using our.
But we're still seeing quite a bit of usage with the computer logins. I mean, we still have 800 logins a month, which is significant.
That's good.
So,
Yeah.
and then I just wanted to note the suggestions and complaints from patrons. Those 2 suggestions were compliments to our staff.
Don't put it under complaints.
I know, well, those suggestions. I know, I had nowhere else to put it. You know, I just got 2
Sure.
forms, so
Good.
they were praised for the staff.
Amy, I have a question about the, oh Lord, why can't I, the Hunger Games escape room.
Yes.
Okay, I see that there were 38 participants. Is that the first time we've ever done that?
Yes,
Okay, have we done any other escape rooms prior to that?
yes. We have done escape rooms for elementary age kids,
Okay.
and
any
this was our first teen event.
teen, okay, all right. Because, so I sent it out to all of my 8th graders.
Oh,
I just
cool.
took a screenshot of what's on Facebook, of the
Yeah.
little information.
Yeah.
And then I also had the principal read on the announcements for the week.
Cool.
So I wanted to plug it, but so I was hoping I could get some information like, did that help or not?
We'd have
But-
to ask Hannah.
Yeah, because if we haven't done it before, then.
haven't done it before,
right?
so
But
this was the first
38
thing.
is a
38 's
lot
a
of
lot of kids.
teens.
Yeah, it is.
38 is a lot of teens.
That is awesome. So in the future,
Teen events like that, would you like a
yep,
listing?
yes. And then any, like, because you guys make it look so fancy, like on Facebook when you do your little thing. If you sent that to me, I can send it out and then
Okay.
also have the principal read it that week for announcements
Okay, I
to
will.
plug the program.
Okay.
So,
Well, why not to the whole school system?
Well,
I was thinking maybe we could get
Oh.
Yeah.
contact throughout the whole school system to get it so that way it's not just going to the your school.
right. So it's just, yeah, it's
Right.
going to Badger.
Yeah, we geared that escape room for Badger kids and high school kids.
Okay.
So, and I know that she talked to the high school librarian that was there to promote it there as well.
Okay. I know, Doug, that unfortunately, if it's something outside of the school system, they have a really hard time. Like, you
Getting it
can't
in.
send flyers out if it's, even if it's for scouts, like Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts, like, they usually don't approve of it, so I just
Or did you get in
finessed.
trouble?
No, I finessed my way in, like, this is important to me, we need to promote this, so. So we can try though, I think that's,
Okay,
Okay.
keep it up.
great.
Well, you know, Amy, you could approach the,
I have approached the school system.
and that has the
And-
response been negative,
Not negative, but,
not cooperative?
Right?
well, they have a section of community flyers, which I've put stuff in before, but they tend to get buried on their website, and they don't really send them out to parents as much. So, but yeah, I can definitely send more of those out.
Yeah, because I could even, if we had flyers, I don't know if we want to go to that extent, but I would be willing to post them up on the 3 floors and
Yeah,
the kids have to wait.
I don't know if the kids, do they look at flyers a lot?
They're in the hallway for a good 30 minutes before school starts. They're not let into the hallways.
Okay, so they.
So they're in a
could-
holding hallway,
Okay,
and so they don't really,
okay.
yeah.
it's lockers or a wall. So,
Or their phone.
If
Or their
people see
phone.
something new,
Or
they
their
can
phone.
get it.
right. So,
Good, good. Well, thank you
Yeah,
for
great.
doing that.
Thank
yeah.
Would that be anything Tim could help with as far as access or channels to reach the different?
I might be able to.
Yep, Tim
I
might,
asked
Tim might-
him.
yeah.
Mhm.
yep.
Yeah, I mean, even if we can get 1 or 2 teachers in each school who we know are willing to hang up things and talk to people,
Right.
that'd be
That's
good.
what I'm
Right.
thinking, because it's like if a message is part of the big thing, it tends to be ignored, whereas it is coming from my teacher, I'm gonna pay more attention to it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
It might improve my grade.
Anything will, right?
Yeah.
Okay, anything else on statistics or?
The good news on top request titles, we actually do not have, the Where the Crawdads Sing on the list anymore.
Whoa.
We caught up with the holds, so that's a good
Doug,
news.
did you get your copy?
But,
Christmas is
but
coming.
we still have lots of other things that now are on hold, so.
Okay. All right. Please refrain from laughing.
You're right. No fun at a library board meeting.
Anything else for Amy regarding her report or anything? If not, we'll move on. Library Board President's report. There is nothing on the report for this month, which is good. Merry Christmas to everyone. We'll move on to number 8, old business. Monarch Library System update.
Okay, Monarch turned 3 this month. So yay, 3 years of
Wow.
Monarch.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe.
Yeah,
It was just yesterday.
I know.
yep. So, there was a celebration at Riverside Brewery after the Directors Council meeting, which I attended, which was really nice. So, the STEM kits that the Resource Advisory Work Group has been working on were packaged this month, and they will be hopefully ready for circulation in the new year. We're just doing inventory on everything and making sure that all the pieces and parts are labeled and stickered and all that good stuff and processed. I already mentioned the network upgrade. And I think those are the highlights.
I saw the truck in the parades.
Yes, the truck has been in a few parades
Yes.
around the area.
And the board has not met in December, and we probably will. I think it's in January or February, I'm not sure which. But that's the next board meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Any other questions on Monarch or this stuff? If not, we'll move on to number 8, the revised 8B, which is Library Recreation Center lease agreement discussion.
Okay, Nick and I have met only once since our last meeting and had an initial meeting on this topic. We talked about different things that Parks and Rec could help us with here at the library to explore building upkeep. Those include salting and snow removal and janitorial services for the Library Recreation Center, obviously, and the usage repairs as needed for the rec center, as obviously. We talked about a yearly lease and utilities being part of a monthly rent cost. We were concerned about insurance issues, and we need to discuss those with Human Resources yet. So those are the initial things that we talked about. I'm looking for any kind of other direction you would like me to go with the lease agreement, what issues we need to discuss in addition to these. So if anyone has any suggestions, please bring them forward.
First of all, yes, I do. This is not a draft,
No,
so
We don't have a
there is no
draft.
draft of a lease.
no.
So there are some of the items in the list that I gave out last month that should be included in a lease.
Okay.
And I don't know how we can approve in the next topic any kind of funding commitment without having the terms of an agreement. I think the board needs to approve, and if you compare the above to the Monarch agreement, you'll see there's a lot of detail missing, and it's kind of a pig in a poke. Is there a cap on the money the library will spend? It started at 100,000, then it went to 150, and that wasn't in the agreement. Is the city going to commit to this project, and is it been sent to the city for their approval or not? Because it's a capital expenditure, and we could expect 50% from the city per the agreement that we have.
That would be if we
That-
spend county funding,
Right.
if we use a
If we use
portion
the
of the
county
county
capital.
portion.
If
Right.
we only use the county capital.
And then, Nick's letter of November 15th, are you looking for 150,000 plus another 50,000? That would be on a lease?
I'm only looking for right now 150,000.
What do you mean by right now?
Well, the commitment in the next agenda item would be for 150,000.
Well, what's the other 50,000 now? Is that then the 10-year loan?
Yes.
So 150,000? But that's not spelled out in a, I'd like to see, before I can vote on anything, I'd like to see it in an agreement rather than, well, this is what we're talking about doing. And I don't think the city, in any shape or form, would say, oh yeah, we'll give up $150,000 and you work out the agreement later. There's no way the city would do that. And I think we need to have an agreement that has been worked out and then look for the approval.
Where we're at with the Doug is in Amy's words, so the 150,000 only gets us to 300,000. So our cost estimate for the entire project is 350,000.
Okay, so where's the other?
That's just the cost estimate. So we're hoping that the extra 50,000 comes from community support such as Kiwanis and fundraising initiatives. So even with the commitment of the library at 150,000, rec at 150,000, we're still not to our funding goal
Right.
for the project. So the lease agreement is, and Amy and I met because you guys had discussed some initiative to get that started, that conversation started. So we started those discussions, and then that's gonna come back to the Park and Rec Board. So that's gonna be an ongoing discussion of the lease agreement. Kind of think of it as like a renter or a tenant. That lease agreement is finalized and signed before you actually move into the facility or the rental of the building. So
If
it's
it's
kind of a work in progress as far as some type of an agreement.
Well,
As far as the lease agreement, we still gotta get to our funding for the project, to get the project off the goal.
I can't see the city telling someone we're gonna spend $150,000, but we'll work it out down the road. But you can be assured of having $150,000.
It's just the initial commitment from the funding. No one's
And
writing a
it's-
check here tonight.
We're,
I guess I have the opposite perspective, and that's that I wouldn't want to spend time in looking at a lease agreement if I didn't know I was going to do the project. So I would naturally commit to doing the project first, and then you work it out as a part of that. But to put a lot of time into the lease agreement and the details of that seems like that should happen after, like you would want to know you had a project before you invested all that time.
Well, we can tell them you got a project. You know you've got a project.
But
But-
we need to secure funding for that project. Yes, we obviously have a project, we have a library excellence project, but we need to
Right.
continue
So
the
what you're-
fundraising initiative,
Yeah, to make it
the
real.
funding, yeah.
So what you're saying is you need a commitment from the library board that we will spend $150,000, so you can then go get bids also?
yes.
Yes.
And also to raise funds. Remember when we
So-
tried to raise funds for the park,
So,
we had to have a commitment from the board for the park so that Joan could go, right?
So-
So-
Yeah.
so again, the timeline is, get the commitments, how much is the rec fund gonna support, how much is the library gonna support? So if that's 150 between the two, that gets us to 300,000. We have a cost estimate from our architect from Zimmerman at 350,000. That's not the bid yet. So we have to continue to try to recruit funding for this project. But 300 is getting pretty close to being able to go to Common Council and ask for the bid. We have to get permission to even take the project to bid. So we go to Common Council and say, we want to do this project, and we have 150,000, 100,000 from the library. Well, 250, we're still quite a ways away from that cost estimation of 350,000. Okay? So that gets us that step closer to the bid process, which we hope to do at the beginning of the first of the year, so 2020. And then the bids come in, and then we kind of see exactly what we're dealing with.
Well, I'd feel a
And
lot,
then hopefully in that meantime, when we're getting the commitments and stuff, that we'll be able to get community support from funding as well, that Amy and I have worked.
Chris?
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
I guess I would suggest, and I think Doug is actually making a good point too, we could probably approve the funds contingent on a signed MOU. That's what I would do. That way, you're getting the guarantee that, yep, we're promising X amount of dollars, but we still want the details of a lease, MOU, whatever you want to call it, that's agreed upon by this board.
But we also need to make a commitment in order to go out, at least go out for a bid.
Yeah.
Because again, you could go out for the bid and the bid could be so high, everybody will say, oh my God, no.
Right.
But you need an initial commitment on
So
going
would
out for a
motion like
bid.
that still give you that security? If it's contingent on a signed MOU between the Park and Rec and the library?
Yeah, I think that's kind of, would be, you know, I think, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of assumed that
Yeah.
when we come back to the lease agreement, that the library board is, no way, you know, you're not gonna write that, you're not gonna have that commitment. You know. So, yeah, I think that's a good point to make, to have that contingency as far as, you know, the commitment from the library board is to go forward with the project and to continue on our path and, you know, this lease agreement.
Well,
Like I
what,
said, it's gonna have to go,
Right, it has to go to bid.
right,
Well, but it has to go to the council too.
It has to
I
go
mean,
down.
we are like one step and then there's the next step with the council. The council may say, no, even if we've committed and the parks have committed, that's not saying that the common council will say, well, yeah, we'll approve you going forward.
Does the city attorney need to look and review the lease
I was
agreement and
gonna
work
say,
on all
yeah.
that?
Mhm.
So-
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was gonna suggest maybe
So,
discussing with
I
them.
mean,
the lease agreement is down the road. It's, you know, obviously we want it in place and approved before the construction starts. But it's really kind of that last piece before that construction.
Yeah,
It's
we need
once-
to know a lot more exactly what the costs are gonna be before we can really make a lease agreement. Because things can
well,
change.
we're going to, what will be the process then? If we make a commitment, then it goes to the city council, and if the city council says no, then do we just end it right there?
Well, I can't speak for the city council, but obviously if the funding's in place, they'll at least let it go to bed.
Yeah,
You know, then if the bids come in high.
Which means that they'll then accept 50% of it as a capital project.
no, see,
Why
this
not?
isn't taking capital money.
Why not,
This-
why don't we take the
because you-
capital
If
money?
you're looking where you had asked, and Amy was probably gonna talk about this,
Yep.
that was the document that's out there saying where they pulled money from.
Why don't we
okay.
ask,
I think it was last month, the recommendation was Amy and Joseph should go and look for the monies, and they have done that, so
if they haven't looked at the capital
they
expenditures?
pulled money though, that
would
they,
be- Yeah, that's coming up on the agenda, so maybe.
I know
we
it,
should-
but my point being is that I looked at that, and that capital expenditure, the money from the county
For one thing,
hasn't been
Doug,
used.
city capital, okay, we need that money, let me see. In order to do that, you need to go to, what is that, the CIP?
CIP. I'd have
So
to
that
go
would
through
have
a
to go
different
into a
process.
CIP.
So what's wrong with that?
The CIP is set already for next year. Okay, the city's CIP has already been approved. We have money that we have set aside now, I'm looking at that money for the roof myself. Because that's an important project in the city then.
Well,
would-
if you're looking at money for the roof, how much is that?
The initial was 200 and some
280.
thousand.
And that would be of our money.
No, if we take county capital,
Right.
which we have 50,000, Chris has presented it, right, and they're gonna be putting that, not in 2020, but it's on the agenda to look at 2021 to put it into the city.
And what would
By
be-
then, we will have 100,000 from county capital, because every year we get county
Okay.
capital. So then we will have our half, and the city will need to match. But again, in addition to that, though, Amy has been looking at other alternatives, and I think that was on last.
we're, for my purpose of taking minutes, we're still on the lease agreement
Right.
discussion. Can we finish this and then move on to?
Okay.
That, because this is
Yeah.
a whole separate report for you. I don't want to
Well,
combine
the
the
lease
two.
agreement, I'm saying, okay, my point on the lease agreement is unless we know about the funding, Why should we approve the lease agreement?
Well, we're not.
We're not
We're
approving
not approving a
We're
lease
not.
Yeah,
agreement.
it was discussed. It's not
Discussion, I'm
approved.
sorry, lease agreement discussion.
Yes.
I think we should, with Chris, with the current funds signed with the MOU, I think that.
Memorandum of understanding.
Yeah, we
That's
can,
what, that's the type of document
Yeah.
that would be between the two
So-
governmental bodies.
because the lease agreement's gonna be work in progress, it might be
Right.
February
Last
before you
month,
really.
it was one of the tasks
Yeah.
that the board signed, for Amy and I to sit down and start the discussions of the lease agreement, so that's what we did, we started those discussions of the lease agreement.
So this
Keep
is
in
just,
mind,
yeah, a
what,
report.
there'll be work in progress, if you have any, like Amy said, any suggestions or things that you would like to see in it, we'll have a first draft, we'll come back to this board with it, maybe in January, we can have initial first draft copies of you guys to actually look through, thumb through. You can read it up, throw it back at us.
And again, you do actually have till construction even starts, or, and even a time when construction is going on to work on that lease. So I think we probably should move on to looking at the funding portion of this that Amy and Joseph have
Yeah.
spoken.
So before we go to that, I guess, finish up with the lease agreement, I guess my recommendation would be to make sure that in the yearly lease agreement, we are getting a payback of $50,000 over the 10 years like you suggested, plus the utilities. So when you're looking at breaking down a monthly rent, that's what I would ask for. I want to see that we're getting payback, extra 50K that we approved last month, and plus utilities.
So are you saying on top of any rent income, it would be,
No, I'm saying
or you're
that-
saying the
that-
rent
that
would
would
cover
be
the
the rent.
50,000?
That's my suggestion, so that we're getting paid back. Because, I mean, you guys should have some direction with the number.
But to clarify, Chris, though, is the 150 would just be the commitment of the 100,000. So that would be, the extra 50,000 payback, that was in addition to the 150 commitment.
No,
No.
No.
I wouldn't say that's the, I don't think it's what we can. I agree with you, Doug, I think it was 100.
It's 100.
150.
Yeah.
and then 50 paid, but to be paid
Yeah.
back.
So we're giving the 150 as a lump sum up front. And I personally would like to see at least the extra 50 paid back over a term. I'm giving you 10 years, you can do the math and come back and make an offer.
And looking at the proposed lease agreement, there are paybacks in there, the snow removal.
Yep.
There are opportunities probably for the parks to help us pick up some of the park maintenance. But again, those are things that would have to be
Quantify that,
identified,
Show us the savings, and say, this is how we're paying you.
paying it back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. We're good, now we go on.
Okay, all right. Amy,
Well, Joseph and I met on December 9th to discuss this. My proposal is in the packet. The architectural work was already committed out of the building maintenance fund, as was noted in the report, the financial reports. We need to not commit $3350 in there for the work that is yet to be billed out to us for the architectural work.
So what-
So that's where the 9390 came from.
So what you're saying is the current building fund of 33 plus is actually 29.7 because we have
Correct, we
committed
have
a
committed
33.
an additional 3350 that is still to be
So
billed
the
out.
building fund right now, looking at it, is sitting at 29.7. 17.
That's not committed.
That's not committed, that's what I mean,
Correct.
that's what it's sitting at for
Correct.
use.
Correct.
It looks like you got that 29,000 as part of the commitment.
Correct.
Didn't you just
Commitment
say it
proposal.
wasn't?
No, this is the
No,
building
the
fund,
capital
not capital.
improvement.
No,
I
not
was
this-
talking.
I know, it's a building fund.
No, the building fund,
Right.
it's what I have proposed.
Right, no, and didn't I hear you say that 29,000 is available in the building fund, and you're saying it isn't?
What,
No,
no,
the
no.
29 is available to be used for this project.
Yes,
To be used for the project, so
Yes.
that's what
Yes.
you're proposing to commit for?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, but we can't spend the 3350 either.
Correct, because
Right,
it's
that's,
committed
that's why
already.
that's being left in there. So the
So then the
total,
balance should be zero.
No,
Correct.
no, well, this is a proposal, Doug.
Yeah,
This
yes,
is,
yes,
this is,
the idea
Right, but
is
I
to-
wanted to show that the
Oh.
balance in that account would be 3350, which is what we need to keep in there for the commitment that has already been made.
Yeah, and the idea is to zero out the account, yes.
It would be zero.
Yes.
Okay.
And then I pulled from the other two funds, the Fund 21 and Fund 126 strategic plan lines only. I did not pull from any of the emergency funds or the technology funds. And I thought this was appropriate as the Library Rec Center is part of our strategic plan.
But also, as part of the strategic plan, aren't you supposed to have about $9,000 worth of library materials that you have already decreased? So if you're saying this is part of the strategic plan, so is the library materials, which you've already
Correct.
cut.
But
So
we
On
talked-
one hand, it's with the strategic plan, on the other hand, it's not part of the strategic plan.
But we talked
But
about
we've
a
left.
fund for the materials.
Right. The April,
that's
But
the,
we've already-
that's the money that'll be coming in from, if we have an overage in the Fund 21 from the year 20, from this current year. And we
Correct.
don't know exactly what that
Okay.
overage is. So there'll be money coming in.
Left over.
There is money in the budget from this
for the
year.
materials.
Okay, now the 150,000. That is 100,000 that we would give, then 50,000 of a loan,
Yes,
right?
yes,
As Chris and I had talked,
yes.
okay,
We were just pulling where we were pull the money from,
yep.
not how we're gonna give them, or use the money. We're gonna agree with the rent agreement or MOU.
Well, I'm opposed to it, and I'll just leave it at that, because I gave my statements last month, and I'm still opposed to it. We're spending money that I don't think we should be
But-
spending.
Well, this money isn't being spent yet, it's just being set aside.
Okay, I got a question. When are we gonna, what has to happen for us to say no? What has to happen for the board to say no?
I would say the lease agreement, the MOU, if those discussions.
And if the
go
bids
around,
came
you'll
in.
agree,
And if the
that
bid,
we want it
if the bids came in,
to be too high.
Yeah, until we commit to the construction, it's not like the money's being spent.
I'll make a motion to approve.
we have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second.
But can we make it with that contingency
Base-
we talked about before?
Contingent on the,
Oh, yes,
the,
contingent
on the lease.
agreement or the MOU. All
Okay,
Being signed and approved by,
Board.
the library board, and I guess stands up.
Park and Rec.
And just to clarify, so it's the 100,000 initial, but the 50,000 is the pay back.
Yes, but, yeah,
And just, I mean.
but that's basically the majority of what you're paying for the use of the building besides utilities, is my understanding of what Chris was saying. Yes.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
Motion carries. So now, Nick, what will happen is you will go to the parks, you have your discussion, and then you'll be presenting that to the Common Council. And when,
Yeah, I mean, we're still short, I mean, as far as the funding, part of it.
Yeah.
We'll obviously have to take this information back. We have a committee, we have a library rec center committee. We'll have to kind of-
so we're about 50,000 short, but there are other options that,
100, I mean, with the, we're at basically at 250. We have 50,000, but it's contingent on the payback.
Okay.
Approved, so.
so it's 250. So the Park and Rec has 100, I thought you had said the Park and Rec had 150, and I must have misunderstood.
They do if it's 150 from the city and 100 from us, because 50 of it is payback.
Is
So he's
payback.
not factoring that in.
He's coming, he'll come up still, they'll need another 100,000.
Even though,
Because 50,000 has to be paid back, and there's 50,000 that still has to be
Right.
raised.
okay, 50, that I understand, but the 50,000 that has to be paid back is money that in the initial run, you actually have. So it's
Have.
150 from the,
And it can take a while.
Yeah, you could,
so it is
Right.
300, not 250.
250,000 would be the confirmed funding. So again, if you guys as a library really want this project, if you want to front the project that way, with payback, the 50,000 only gets you to 300. So if you wanted that stipulation to get the project, to see the project through, would be to have $100,000 payback, maybe over 20 years, 25 years. Because that gets us right to 350. That means next month, we could go to the common council and say, hey, we have 250,000 committed. The library is willing to put forth 100,000 upon stipulation of payback. Can we take this to bid?
I would say that's too much risk on your part. I wouldn't want to make you liable for $100K to pay back in a year-to-year lease. I mean, that scares me just for you.
Whatever
You're
you're
saying.
saying, you have to go in 10 years, obviously.
Yeah,
That would be 30 years, 25 years, 20, you
Yeah.
know. But you get where I'm coming from, Chris, what I'm saying?
I think.
But,
Because right now. we
but
don't
you still have the 150
Right.
that you're giving. We just approved, the board just approved another 150, with 50 of that will be paid back within the REIT. So we're upfronting the money for you.
Of 50,000, but we're still short though, Amy. We're still
Yeah,
short.
We're
I mean,
still
we're
short
short
50.
50. Yeah.
What is the time frame for, like, the other community businesses that you're looking into, like you said, Kiwanis? What's their time frame to let you know if they're going to
Only
contribute?
you knew somebody.
Yeah,
Chris, yeah.
Well, I can speak, I'm president of QS.
Right.
Our timeframe is, we're still in discussions to, I can't speak for the full board, but we took a vote to have a consensus to approve the project, and we were in favor of it. We just need to work out details, same as this group needs to.
Sure.
With the Parks and Rec guys, and we have somebody who's on that. So I don't want to say it's 100% guaranteed, but I can most likely see funding.
some funding, some funding.
50,000 from
And-
us, so.
We also have other options that
Yep.
Amy and Nick and the city have been
There's
looking
grants that
at,
they've
for
already
grants
applied
that they've
for
been
and-
applying
yeah.
for. So,
I'm confident that, I mean,
I'm-
if you're a 50K gap, I feel like you are probably already within that reach.
yeah,
Right.
Well, if you're saying you have some other opportunities, why not use those opportunities and decrease the amount of money from the library?
if those opportunities come in,
If they
there's a
could.
possibility
There's
then
that.
that money would come back. But at this point, I think part of the big thing, Doug, is in order to get the best prices from contractors, and we learned this from the park, remember, we needed to get those bids out so they can get them on their calendar
I
when
know.
it starts. And that
I know
that
that.
will give you the lowest.
Right, and that's why I always say the commitment, no one's, like I said, no one's spending the money now, but you can't just bring the contractors in, and just say, hey, we got this project, come in.
We don't know where we're getting the money from, but
Right.
we want a bid.
That's
Now,
why you gotta get permission to bid it and stuff, and then if we can do that relatively soon, the first of the year, then we can even do some more fundraising initiatives too. Think of all the activities and stuff we're gonna have coming up in the library in the spring, in the parks, all our activities and events that we're gonna have, that will be able to keep, get the word out even more to the public and start, some of those, community, initiatives and put back into the project. It would just be nice when we get to that point to have a concrete number, a bidded number that we can put out there. And, and say, hey, this is, say, a quick example, the project's 370,000. We're at 330. We need 40 more. Help us out. What can you do? Then we can, close that gap even more. And that's just hypothetical, that's an example, I'm just throwing those numbers out there. So,
And if I recall from the numbers that we looked at, when we were trying to figure out how much we could contribute to this, we're not in a position to put another $50,000
Oh.
on it. So that's kind of a point.
Yes.
Okay. That's what it was.
But to your point, though, Doug, yeah, if you know someone that can just write a check for $400,000, we don't need to spend any.
If I had the 400, I wouldn't spend it on this project.
Thank you for that.
You started it.
Okay,
Find some-
I think we can move on to new business and, new business, a Monarch Library System Agreement approval.
There was only one update, which is the numbering, which is now correct on the articles. And then Appendix C was added to the agreement, and it is basically technology responsibilities. And it's responsibilities for the member libraries and for the system. So I was involved in writing this. I'm on the governance committee, I'm the chair of the governance committee. So these were things we thought were fair, and it has been approved by the Monarch Library System Board. So I'm bringing it to you for approval and signatures.
And each library board has to approve this.
Yes.
And as Amy said, the only real change from the prior contract was that you added Appendage C for technologies, and that was just clarifying some of the responsibilities.
So I'll ask for a motion to approve.
So move.
I'll second.
Motion and second, any discussion on the Monarch contract?
Do we currently, speaking of technology, do we currently practice more kind of like bulk purchases and stuff of technology through Monarch? Or-
Yes.
Yeah, I thought so, that's what I'm Thanks.
We have a motion and a second of approving the Monarch contract. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Could I ask for something to be put on the agenda for next month?
Yes, you may.
Would you explain the relationship between our revenue and circulation? In other words, we have $1,449,000 projected revenue. And we keep talking about, we want an increased circulation because that provides funding. Well, of that $1,449,000, how much of that, in dollars and cents, is dependent upon circulation? For example, the 10,000 of interest has nothing to do with circulation. So there have got to be other items, if I recall, that aren't dependent upon circulation. So
I
that-
will, okay, yeah,
Okay.
I'll make a report for that.
So then, if we find out that that is, I'm just gonna use the number to say 500,000, then how much circulation how much of an increase in circulation do you need to get $1 more of revenue?
But see, I'm not sure that,
Because we talk about,
we talk about circulation, we get circulation dollars from the county, or from the system, right? It's from the county, depending on the circulation.
so it's only
But
the,
the city does not base it on
Right.
circulation.
so
so-
my point being is I'd like to find out if we increase circulation by 10%, what does that relate to in revenue increase?
Sure.
Because we may find we're spending too much time worrying about circulation as opposed to other items that we should be concentrating our efforts on.
Okay. Okay, I think I get that.
Because I remember hearing this before, and I was amazed that you really had to bump up your circulation to get a few bucks.
And it's gonna depend on where that circulation is coming from.
Right. No, I'd
So-
like to have that explained also.
Okay.
Okay. If nothing else, our next regular meeting is January 21st, 2020.
Got it.
Do we have an assigned task?
Yep.
Couple?
So we've got Joseph, you're creating a separate line to Fund 21 County Capital to mark it as a restricted fund. And then Amy, you're gonna put on the agenda, we're gonna look at the policy for 2 board members to be on the library director's evaluation meeting. And then if you could send me any teen program information to distribute. And then also what Doug just asked about adding to the agenda for next month, reporting out of revenue versus circulation. Where's the circulation coming from? How much
Yep.
circulation do you need?
I think I can put something together for that.
Good.
And then we, I don't know if it's a task, but it'll be a update on the common council, regarding the basement,
Oh, the MOU and everything.
well, not necessarily an MOU, but just where do we stand, an update on,
Okay.
are we going forward with the bid and stuff like that? Has a bid been submitted? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. If nothing else, it is 7:26 and a half, and we are adjourned.